Raya and the Last Dragon is a film that is inspired by many different Southeast Asian cultures, including Laos, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, and Singapore. The film was brought to life by two Southeast Asian screenwriters and a Southeast Asian head of story. Kelly Marie Tran, who voices Raya, is the first Southeast Asian actor to lead a Disney animated feature, and she's joined by several other incredibly talented Southeast Asian actors and East Asian actors in the voice cast. We recorded our episode on Raya and the Last Dragon a couple weeks ago. Since then, America has seen two mass shootings in the span of a single week. The first occurred in the metropolitan Atlanta area and left 8 people dead, 6 of them Asian women. The gunman targeted 3 different spas, indicating a clear anti-Asian motive. This awful incident is just the latest in an alarming pattern of increased anti-Asian violence in both America and the rest of the world. This type of racism is unfortunately nothing new to this country, but there's no question that the rise in hate crimes against Asian and Pacific Islander communities can be attributed to harmful, racist rhetoric widely spread during the COVID-19 pandemic. This Asian hate must stop. We at Watch Review Repeat believe it is important to discuss the reality of anti-Asian violence at home and abroad, especially on an episode centered around a film that celebrates Southeast Asian cultures and is an important step in representation for Asian women in film. It is everyone's responsibility to stop Asian hate by condemning the horrific acts of hate and violence targeting the AAPI community. To uphold our responsibility, we have donated to the AAPI Community Fund, and we urge our listeners to do the same. You will find a link to donate in the episode description and on our website at watchreviewrepeat.com/stopasianhate. Thank you all for listening, and please enjoy our coverage of Raya and the Last Dragon. Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
Joining you finally after an hour and a half worth of technical difficulties and driver problems and computer problems. I think the lesson to be learned in the preamble of this show is that we both probably need to buy new computers.
So I was talking to Anna about this just a few days ago, and I decided once I come into a more substantial sum of money, aka when I get a job and start working, hopefully,
perhaps a little stimulation.
Maybe a little stimulation. I don't know if I'll be able to swing it that soon. I got a few other finances I need to work on before then. But new computers in order. It's this episode almost didn't happen. It feels like. I think at a certain point, no one would have begrudged us if we just said fuck this and walked away, because it's just been one thing after another. Getting to the point of recording this episode, I spent 20 minutes circling for a parking spot because there were 200 people gathered at the fountain near me listening to a guy playing tuba or something. I don't know, some drums there, I think, but it's the same people that I think may have been playing when I was actually watching Raya and the Last Dragon, which is what we're talking about on this episode. So
they're getting a little out of hand, those musical bastards, aren't they?
They are. It's a little too much to handle, I think. And there was look, I know vaccines are way up, and people are getting their vaccines and stuff, and that's great. But there were still way too many fucking people in that square for my liking, so I felt a bit uncomfortable dealing with that, but. Got back in, tried to get the sound set up. It was a hot mess on my end. Kind of finally got it sorted, and then it turned into a hot mess on your end. And lo and behold,
we almost had here. Wonder Woman take 2.
Yeah, I might have been recording with your webcam at one point. So anyway, I think we've got all the kinks sorted out. We're here. Half a beer in. It's a 12.5%er. So
I'm 3 Trulies in. And they're 5%ers.
And we're not alone. So why don't we go ahead and bring in our special guest for this episode? It is the aforementioned Anna. Welcome back to the show, Anna Mattis. How's it going?
Great. I have just finished a Sour Monkey, which is a 9.5%.
Ooh.
So I'm going to dip at some point during the news to get another one, but I'll be here for the rest of it, mostly just to add snark and sarcasm about
and shade
items. Exactly. Before we get to Raya, which I am excited to talk about. So thanks for having me back.
Absolutely.
It's our pleasure. So, yeah, things are crazy. Andrew's going on vacation very soon. We hope to do a couple episodes before he departed cross country to Vegas and nearby places of enjoyment. There's probably a better word for that, but again, half of a beer. So we're here to talk about Raya and the Last Dragon. We're kind of doubling up on the Disney stuff. Obviously, we just did WandaVision, and now we're talking about Raya. So maybe it'll be seamless for the listeners by the time everything kind of pans out, but obviously that's the timeline for you. So you will not be hearing about Andrew's vacation as of yet. He might preview it again because he's probably pretty excited, understandably so. But the next episode we record is going to be the big one where he talks about all the good fun that he gets up to over the next week or so from when we're recording. But I think Andrew might be waving around a knife as we record.
Yes. Yeah. I fidget with a knife while we record.
I was like, is this a subtle threat? Like, I'm very confused about what's happening.
Yeah, no. I've been playing with a knife in here for the past couple of episodes.
He says, I'm ready to go on vacation, so I got places to be. So let me just show this thing off. I'll brandish a knife real quick and, get the message across that we need to keep this thing going. So we'll keep it going. Raya and the Last Dragon, we'll obviously be talking about it before long, but I do want to kick it over to our special guest, Anna, who has a fun fact to share about it, because in the mess of the hour and a half of us trying to figure out our technical shit, Andrew had and then subsequently lost a fun fact. So Anna is here to pick up the slack and tell us all about something fun about Raya and the Last Dragon.
Sure. So I think a more known kind of fun fact about this movie is just how incredible the representation is and how groundbreaking it is, because of all of the influence from Southeast Asian culture and history. But one that people might not know is that an actress in Raya and the Last Dragon, Patty Harrison, who plays the leader of Tail of the clan, she is the first known trans actor to voice a character in a Disney animated movie. So a small role, but still really awesome and really cool. I think, especially considering some of the more subtle representation in this movie. It's just it kind of feels like all around just a really inclusive and great movie for representation. So looking forward to Patty Harrison has a huge slate of stuff coming up. So I'll be excited to see her and more.
Cool deal. Didn't know it. Now we do.
And now we do. So thank you for that. She may be lurking in the background for this next section of news. We'll see. She might chime in if something looks stupid or something like that. But Andrew seems excited. We must hear what he has to say.
Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk. Is this your? Are you coming back in with your fun fact?
Yeah, I just remembered it.
Okay.
Alan
right,
Tudyk voices the roly-poly dog.
Yep.
Little tuk-tuk.
He's tuk-tuk.
Yeah.
I the funniest part is that I was like looking up the voice cast, because obviously it's an absolutely stacked cast. And I said to Colton, and he didn't know this before, and I just said, guess who plays Tuk-Tuk? And he immediately said, Alan Tudyk. Like, it has to be. Like, they always get him for these roles. I think those were like your exact words. So definitely a fun fact. He always brings some joy to the things he voices.
Yeah.
Tuk-Tuk is so cute.
I think the reason I guess that is, I think doesn't he play the chicken in Moana?
I think he does.
Yeah, he plays like a fucking chicken who just go, for the entire movie. And I'm like, yeah, let's bring in Alan Tudyk to do this shit. So I was just like, if he's playing some sort of creature, yeah, they got him on standby. I think is kind of how I felt about it. So I mostly said it as a joke, but here we are. So yes, the news section. the section where we talk about news. And I did a little thing here again. Our listeners may recall if they listened to the previous episode that on WandaVision I kept it Marvel centric. And on this episode, I'm keeping it animated-centric. All of these pieces of news will center around upcoming animated projects. Quite a range, in terms of tone, feel, animation style, all that sort of thing. But they all will be animated, so there is a through line there. So let's start with perhaps the most. I don't know. Some of these are some of these are head scratchers, I guess I would say. But this one might be the biggest of them all. Game of Thrones. Our favorite show that we
oh my god
bring up. I see. God, it feels like almost every episode that HBO pulls something out of the bag. Game of Thrones related, like 19th prequel that we're announcing. This one, I don't know if we know is going to be a prequel, but you can probably surmise as much from what I just said. It is going to be an animated take on Game of Thrones, an animated drama that is going to be coming to HBO Max. This is in early stages of development, so there's really not a whole lot to be said on this at the current moment in time in terms of timeline, all that good stuff. It is supposed to be similar in tone to the Game of Thrones series that we got on HBO Max, so an adult animated show.
Okay,
and that's about all I've got for it.
Why?
As with all of the other Game of Thrones projects that we've talked about, I swear again on every episode. Fine, I guess. Like, I don't really care. I mean, make me interested, I guess. It's not to say that it couldn't work. Obviously, my enthusiasm for the franchise has dwindled considerably since they fucked it with the last season or two. But I don't know. We don't need to have the same conversation. I should just stop putting Game of Thrones shit. I should stop entertaining it.
I agree. My only response to this is why? No one wants this. No one needs this.
No one certainly asked for it. At the very least, no one
Correct.
asked for it.
Yeah, I don't want it.
I mean, perhaps the animated medium could make things. I mean, it could probably scale well because it's animated, but I guess with all things Game of Thrones, like, when's it taking place? What are you trying to do? The basic Game of Thrones shit. Like, what are you going to do with it? I don't know.
I guess
no one asked for an animated Game of Thrones.
no.
And I feel
no one
like
did.
the vast majority of people that were in like the Game of Thrones traction that you had would not. I don't foresee everybody being that was interested in Game of Thrones saying, "Hey, they're coming out with an animated series," and getting into Game of Thrones animation. I feel like that's going to be a niche thing for the people that are interested in it. I don't think it's going to be as widespread successful as a live action show.
No, I mean, certainly not. I mean, I'm sure the prequel or the prequels that they're developing will probably be the bigger hits. I mean, maybe this is an opportunity to expand your storytelling and to directions that would maybe cost too much or be too
Right.
kind of out there, so you could kind of play fast and loose that way. But yeah, I know until I see what this is, I just don't give a fuck. I just really don't. So anyway,
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. We're gonna do something a little unprecedented here. I like to have creative control over what happens in our news section. But it works out well because there's 7 pieces of news that I pre-planned, and I usually like to do an even number. Don't know why. Don't at me. But Anna has suggested that we add a piece of news, so I'm just going to go ahead and punt it over to her and see what she has to say on that front because I don't know what's coming. It's new for me. It's the first time in Watch Review Repeat history where someone is bringing me news, I think.
I honestly didn't realize that he didn't know about this, and I thought maybe you guys covered it last time, and I didn't listen. I kind of experienced it firsthand, but no, I think especially with the animated theme, this was announced actually a couple weeks ago now, but that Nickelodeon had created Avatar Studios specifically to create new content around Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, and I think there's been a lot of talk of live action and low expectations, to be honest, because let's be real, live action stuff is just all going to be absolute shit. But Avatar Studios is going to create animated series and animated movies. And the first thing that they're doing is an animated theatrical title, but the co-chief creative officers of Avatar Studios are going to be the Avatar and Korra original creators.
Wow.
Michael DiMartino and Brian Koznitsko, I think that's it. But yeah, so it's really exciting for those of us who love Avatar and Korra, and I'm one of those. And I think I was not. I think there's just a magic with the animation, and like I read all the comics afterwards and did all that. And I just have not been excited for the live action, but I'm really excited about this. And it sounds like it's going to be, or at least a lot of it's going to be exclusive to Paramount Plus. So I suppose that's a
thing.
Star Trek reason to get it. But yeah, really exciting because the animation they've done so far is just absolutely excellent, just consistently great.
I was 110% on Avatar. I loved Avatar. I thought Avatar was spectacular. I've had Henry's copy of Legend of Korra now for probably 2 years, and I haven't watched any of it, so I need to get on that.
You should. It's different. Like, I think there are some people who don't like Korra as much because they expected like a continuation of the story, and like there are pieces that pick up, which is fun, but it's a new character.
And she's not an Avatar,
fucking
right?
Awesome. No, she is. Korra is.
Korra is an Avatar?
One.
Oh, okay. I thought she was just a
like
waterbender.
100 years. No, it picks up like 100 years later. She's a new Avatar.
Oh shit.
Yeah. But it's really fun, and it's very like the setting, because it is in the future from Avatar. It's like very steampunk vibes, and
that's cool.
It's really cool. I like it a lot. I have rewatched Avatar: Last Airbender. What did we determine, 4 times or something like that? Because I just rewatched it last year.
When that dude touches his head and like saps all his power out after he's like gone God mode. Holy shit!
It's awesome.
Oh, it's so cool. Avatar is so awesome.
But yeah, so Korra is really good too. The comics are also really excellent. They pick up right after the finale of Avatar: Last Airbender. A lot of it's like Zuko centric, and it's really good. So I'm really excited for more content for these folks.
I'd like on a side note, while we're transitioning to other news, I would like a prequel to the Last Airbender with that 7-foot tall Avatar woman. I can't remember her name, but
Kyoshi,
yes, from the island.
Yeah.
That would be some serious shit. Honestly, that would be awesome.
Honestly, I could see like a really cool, like even like an anthology or something of like the prior Avatars that we know, like even just the last 3 or something. But it sounds like a lot of it is going to be like even going back hundreds of years and looking at different Avatars.
It'd be cool to have like a Clone Wars kind of storytelling thing where you have like one-offs with different Avatars. I
agree. I think that would be really cool.
Man, sign me up. Nickelodeon, hire me, motherfuckers. I can do it. Anyways, moving on.
Moving on is probably good. I have nothing to offer on Avatar, having not watched it or Korra. I know it's a personal fault. I'm not even sure why she's still dating me at this point, but anyway, that sounds cool. I would love to catch up on those shows and new content, maybe the inspiration for doing that at some point. That and the fact that I think I own them both on Blu-ray. Maybe I should get around to making good on my investment or whatever. So, yes, now moving on. Past Game of Thrones, past Avatar. I think we had to balance the bad with the good, and I think it worked out okay. So thank you, Anna, for that. We have a couple new anime series. There's going to be a lot of fucking animated shit coming to Netflix as a preview of coming attractions here. The first one's kind of a double announcement. New anime series coming to Netflix and Legendary. Coming to Netflix from Netflix and Legendary, I guess I should rephrase that. Skull Island, number 1, King Kong and such.
Okay.
And Tomb Raider, number 2. And I believe, if my understanding is correct, the Skull Island one will be part of the MonsterVerse setting based off of the Kong Skull Island movie that came out a few years ago. as well as the Tomb Raider one will be in the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider verse, which we're supposed to be getting a sequel to sometime in the next few years as well. So, animated series for Skull Island and for Tomb Raider. What do you think? Anything that might catch your fancy?
So, out of the two, I would be most interested in Tomb Raider anime. Is it an anime? It is an anime, right? Japanese style animation.
Yes. I mean, it says the Skull Island anime will be the team behind Castlevania and Blood of Zeus.
Okay.
Both Netflix ones. The Tomb Raider one, however, I'm not sure if we have specific information on who is doing that one.
Hopefully somebody that was involved with Kill Bill.
Okay.
That would be cool as shit. Super brutal Tomb Raider anime. And hopefully you go into, like, remember that the old school Tomb Raider game where she, like, had to shoot dinosaurs and shit? Do you remember that? Did you ever play that? Maybe that was on my N-Gage. I don't know if that was like an N-Gage exclusive. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're going way back. I'm sorry. I'm getting in the weeds. I'm a sucker for anything like Indiana Jones. I really like the original, not the original, but the original remake Tomb Raider, where there was supernatural stuff. I like adventure shows with supernatural or just adventurous elements, like Goonies and Indiana Jones and that sort of vein. I'm 110% into that shit. That it just seems like that stuff doesn't get made much anymore. I don't think.
I love the Goonies, and Colton has not seen it ever.
You've never seen the fucking Goonies?
Which is, I know we should do that this weekend. I know it's right here. We had a conversation. I think I probably threatened to break up with him, and he bought the 4K.
Oh, nice.
Let's watch this either tonight or tomorrow.
Bonus episode, right, dude. That is bonus episode content.
It's
the fucking
so
Goonies.
Fucking good. I love the Goonies, but I was gonna say I've been very much thinking. I literally was thinking about the Goonies last night when we were in the car driving back, because I have been reading a Star Wars book that had kind of a slow start, and it's gone very Indiana Jones.
Oh,
and it's really good. It kind of has picked up the pace, and now I'm really into it. So you would probably like it if you're into like the.
What's that book?
Like, it's actually the Galaxy's Edge book.
Okay.
Black Spire Outpost.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And you kind of have to read, kind of weirdly, it's kind of a sequel to Phasma. So you have to read Phasma first to really get it.
Okay.
But there's like a whole like ruins and traps and
that's cool as shit. Who doesn't like that? Everybody likes that.
Yeah, you would like this book then.
You need to watch the fucking Goonies, dude. Like the Goonies is like anytime you talk Indiana Jones, you inherently talk about the Goonies. It's like a whole like 80s 90s kind of like convergence of adventure and
so good.
It's so good. It's just so good.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to talk about that with you.
Well, I would love to watch it. It's not a personal thing that I haven't watched. Watched it for a reason. It just hasn't happened. But I did buy. It's another thing that I bought that I should make good on my investment on.
Yeah,
so
definitely fucking Goonies.
So yeah, I'll watch it certainly. Maybe very soon.
Hey, you guys.
I'm laughing as if I understand what's happening. Any other thoughts? Skull Island, Tomb Raider. I think for my end, both of these could work.
Chunk. Holy shit, fucking chunk.
I literally just started doing the truffle shuffle over here. Like I started doing it. I was like, I'm not gonna continue.
Okay, moving on. We gotta get going.
More things that I still don't understand, but I'm gonna laugh about. Just kidding. Anyway, Skull Island, Tomb Raider. Look forward to them. They're coming around.
Get on
More things coming to Netflix. Anna's favorite character,
for the love of God.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog's getting a brand new 3D animated show on Netflix in 2022.
Go ahead.
Oh my goodness, 24 episodes.
Oh my gosh.
24 episodes of Sonic. He's going to be in an adventure where the fate of a strange new multiverse rests in his gloved hands and represents a journey of self-discovery and redemption for the speedy blue spiny mammal. There you go. The courtesy of Variety right there.
I hope the redemption is that he dies.
Oh my god.
That's dark. You can't just. He's just a little blue hedgehog that just goes fast. You got to go fast. That's
How do you
all.
not like Sonic? Sonic is.
He can go nice and fast all the way to hell.
Oh. Sonic's an. I like Sonic. I got a lot of history with Sonic, especially him and his snowboard and his chi-chis or whatever they are.
The Chow Chows?
Chow Chows, yeah.
Something like that.
Listen, I'm fine with playing Sonic games, but like if it's media that I'm supposed to pay attention to him speaking and doing weird shit, no thank you.
Sonic has a long, long history of animated features.
That's fine, but like no, that's fine. I'm talking about like the 3D animated and like the live action nonsense. Get it away from me.
Live action was pretty fucking good. I like that.
No, it fucking wasn't. No, it fucking wasn't. It was terrible. It was not good. The only good part of that movie was Natasha Rothwell and her cameo. Everything else in that movie was fucking trash. It was terrible.
And Jim Carrey?
And fine.
What's he say?
He was okay.
What's he say with the rocks?
He wasn't fucking terrible. He was okay, but everything else was fucking terrible.
Reconnaissance.
How do you not?
I was waving my arms wildly as Anna was speaking. We're sharing a microphone, and I felt like I really needed to interject to say that Jim Carrey was the best part of that film. Perhaps the only good part of that film. Maybe I would concede that, but
I will not take this Natasha Rothwell slander. I will not stand for it.
What about?
I will not.
What about what's his face?
It doesn't matter what his name was. He wasn't good.
Can't think of the actor's
name.
name.
It was bad. It doesn't matter.
Sonic's best friend.
James Marsden?
Yeah, James Marsden in the bar fight.
Ever done. The only good thing he's you know what? I actually cannot speak to that scene because that is when I chose to get up and go to the bathroom, and I stood out in the hallway.
You got up during the bar fight scene?
Right before it, I guess, and I really didn't want to come back.
That lit the theater on fire where I was at.
Didn't, but
well, the bar fight scene was really quite terrible. So I will say that Anna did not miss anything with that particular section of the film. Anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog, brand new 3D animated show. That's very exciting. I don't think it has anything to do with the movie. I know we kind of diverted into a conversation about the movie. Andrew's most surprising film of 2020, if I recall correctly. It was contender for my worst of 2020, if I also recall correctly on that front. Didn't win, though. Didn't win for me. I don't know. That's fine. I mostly put it in here as a joke because I knew it would piss Annan off, and lo and behold, here we are. It succeeded with flying colors, but I'm not going to watch this. I really don't care. But it might be a good kids show for people that want some blue hedgehog goodness for their kids or something. I don't know what to say. More Netflix stuff coming up. Terminator is getting an animated series because everything else is apparently, and Netflix has the money for it. Terminator is a franchise that,
it's been around.
It's been around for a while. That's yes, we can agree on that. Really hasn't been a whole lot within the Terminator franchise that has excited. I think for a long time. Another thing that Anna and I were talking about recently was the Sarah Connor Chronicles, the TV show, which was very good. And I think, as I said to her when she brought it up, that's the best Terminator sequel since Terminator 2. Very low bar, but it's probably the only thing since Terminator 2 that was actually good, in terms of the Terminator franchise. I would contest, so.
Please give me something else with Lena Headey and Summer Glau. Just I deserve it, okay? I deserved more of that show. It was fucking great. And yes, I agree. I have no interest in this. I don't need this. I don't need it. I don't want it. Just, no. I don't. I think my problem with some of this, I think there's a lot of like, oh, there's no originality. We go back to the same stuff. I don't have a problem with that. But I think I just don't, I honestly, I don't want Netflix doing TV shows anymore. Because if it is good, they'll still fucking cut it off after 2 or 3 seasons. and then if it's not good, they'll probably keep going for 10. So I whatever. Just no.
So I think that between Sonic the Hedgehog, Skull Island, and Tomb Raider, I think the one that could be the coolest is a Terminator anime. You can make it super grungy, super like brutal, flesh getting ripped off the Terminator and super bloody and shit, and just like the menacing fucking robot. Bah, 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 bah. You know, I think especially if they go with what the T-100, isn't that what Arnold was? Like just the
He was a T-800 and the
T-800, yeah. Like you just go with that super slow, robotic, super like just menacing, indestructible robot. I think that could be. I don't know. I think there's a place for it, especially in anime. You could do some really cool things. I think
for me, yeah. I mean, like I said, I mean the franchise has had its woes. For some reason, people liked Dark Fate, and I guess it was. Again, you know, by default, like better than most of the other recent entries in the Terminator franchise. You know, like when it comes off the heels of Genesis, of course it's going to be better. You know what I mean? Like, it really
given the proper story and animation style, I think it could be cool.
I think it could be cool, and you know, if you know, if I was put in charge of a Terminator anime series, I'm not sure why you're doing such a thing. I'm not. It's not the right thing to do, really. But I think it's a way. You know, if I had my pick of the lot of what you did with this, I think you could do Terminator Salvation correctly this time. You know, the future setting, the future war. That to me feels like something that could be very appropriate for an anime setting. And I feel like that film tried to do it and just didn't quite hit the mark. I mean, it was cool because it was such a different setting than what we gotten in T1 through 3. And that was nice that it was a departure from that, but it just wasn't a great version of that. But I think there is a great version within that story, within that setting that could be mined. We'll see what this turns out to be. I'm sure Arnold will be back in some fashion. But that's fine. That's fine. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you know, perhaps it's a through line of basically the now 5 things we've talked about, mostly the Netflix stuff is really just it's a wait and see approach. I guess obviously that's pretty traditional for us on the podcast of, we'll see what happens. But really a lot of these, like, we just don't know enough. It's like, okay, that's a franchise where an animated thing is either weird or different or out there, and maybe it could work, maybe it couldn't. Who's to say? But yeah, I don't know. Just, you know, you say Terminator is the most exciting or the most promising of that. I don't know which of these stands out for me. I'm really just kind of indifferent until I see something that excites me about.
That's what needs to happen. We need to see where it goes. I think you could even do a retelling of the first Terminator in an anime like an anime style, and that could be.
Do you need it though? I mean,
80s vibes. You don't need it. But it could be cool and artistic.
I do actually feel like I could defend that because you know, we're sorry to go on another Star Wars book tangent, but you know, I read Thrawn, and there's a Thrawn comic, and it's just like a different retelling of the first book, and it was fun. It was good. I think when enough time has passed, it can be kind of fun to look at that. So I'm, you know, in the same way that Disney movies, we're getting all these live action retellings of the same story, and you know, the same characters and stuff. It might be kind of fun to do the reverse. I'm not opposed to that.
There you have it.
Oh, just ganging up on me. 2 against 1. It's not fair. It's not fair. What am I supposed to do? I'm just going to move on to the next thing. I don't even want to touch it anymore. We'll see. We'll see what happens with all these. That could be done well. We'll see.
Of course, it could be done up like that Godzilla thing that Netflix put out. And like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. It's set in the future, and people are in space, and they come back to Earth, and there's Godzilla and shit. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that one. But
is that the one we're going to be talking about to close out our news section? Is that what you're talking about?
No, Netflix has
different. There's a different Godzilla series.
Yeah, we'll talk about
it. Okay.
It's fucking weird.
Multiple Godzilla Netflix series, very confusing. All right, the last things we're going to talk about for the news, we have 3 different trailers, 3 very different trailers I will add as well. The first one is for Invincible. It is a Amazon original series coming to Prime Video. The end of this month, in fact, March 26th. So, you know, I don't know when this episode's going to go up. Maybe it'll be very close to being out. Maybe it'll even be out if things get away from me or whatever. But Invincible is comic book adaptation. The comic book was written by Robert Kirkman, the creator of the Walking Dead comic book series. Good voice cast. The trailer makes a point of having 3 different things come up with a bunch of famous people that you can't even read their names, just to make a point of how many cool, awesome actors are in this. But I think Stephen Yeun, who we saw recently in Minari, and we'll talk about that on a future episode, is kind of the main character, I think, here. And then his dad is played by J.K. Simmons, who is great in everything that he does. And Sandra Oh, I think, was the third name that was highlighted in this, and she is in Raya in The Last Dragon as well. So little thread there. But Andrew, you were watching this, and we were trying to figure out some technical shit on our end, but we could hear your reactions to it as you were watching the trailer. So I kind of know how you were leaning with this one, but I do want to ask you nonetheless, for the sake of our listeners, how did the Invincible trailer play for you?
So the trailer started out much like the teaser or whatever the fuck we got whenever we got it.
A while back. I think it was the Comic-Con, the online Comic-Con they did.
Yeah.
Whatever that was.
So, I mean, it's like, okay, it looks like Superman kind of riff or whatever, we'll see how it goes, I guess. It didn't seem too exciting. But then it got super brutal. There were blood splatters and like all the like people that were in it. It was like, bleh, and there was like blood splatter here, and then he started he just flew through people and cut them in half. And then there's this giant guy wailing on him with a giant warhammer or something, and he just gets battered, and his dad comes back and he's all battered. He's got blood in his eyes and stuff, and it's like, oh my God. Oh, and they were flying through these buildings, and the buildings were blowing up, and there's just total chaos. And it looked, and he did this he was flying at super speeds. He's flying so fast, and then he does the spin move, and he bores into the earth. And I was like, this show looks pretty fucking cool. I'm in. The latter portion of this trailer sold me on it. The first half didn't do anything for me, but the action looked pretty cool at the end, and I don't know what kind of story they're going for, but if it's animated, cool. I mean, when it comes to anime and animated features and that sort of thing, if the art is there and the animation's there, and even if the story's kind of lacking, there's so much you can kind of latch on to, I think, in animation. And this seems like it's animated cool, and it seems like the story is intriguing. I'm intrigued by the story. Because the whole thing's he's invincible, but then at the same time he's passing out because this guy broke him in half with a hammer. So obviously he's not invincible. So it might be like a tale of pushing your limits or whatever. I don't know. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by it. So I had a good time with the trailer. I think the trailer really sold me. So
yeah. It's interesting because it feels like the first maybe 3/4 of this trailer, feel pretty traditional superhero type thing. And then kind of, I think when it gets a little bit more montagey, it starts to feel, a bit more crazy, bloody, The Boys-esque in some ways, I think in terms of the violence levels, at least. I don't know. It looks cool. I'm excited about it. I feel like I've heard very good things about the comic book that it is based on, having never read it myself, of course. Why would I do such a silly thing or anything? But, I mean, between the voice cast, the animation, and just kind of the concept of it, I feel like there's something here that could be very cool. It is the first 3 episodes that are coming on March 26th. I guess the Amazon's doing the same. I guess they're keeping with that kind of consistency with that release schedule, so it'll finish up, I think, in late April. But I don't know. This feels to me like something that I think I would like to watch. It I don't know. I feel like, it could be pretty good, is kind of my just assessment of it. So,
I'm mostly indifferent. I didn't know this existed until I watched this. There's a lot of big names in there that make me semi-interested, and I feel like Amazon might give us some The Boys vibes, which I'm, which might be cool, but I'm probably not going to watch this. Also, it's just going to go too long because that's who Robert Kirkman is. Okay, bye.
Well, I guess I'll have to watch it on my own then, is what it sounds like to me.
You won't watch it by yourself. I'll watch it with you, dude.
Okay, well, all right. Well, I appreciate that. That's what friends are for. All right, next trailer. Again, wildly different trailers. Shifting here. Disney and Pixar's Luca. We received our first teaser trailer for it, and I think it looks delightful. What about you?
I think it looks delightful. I think I know where the story's going. You have a town full of hateful fucking people against these two individuals that are a little bit different. So I'll be preparing onions in the kitchen, or maybe in the theater whenever, depending on if life returns back to normal at some point. It looks. I've watched a couple movies about mermaids. I don't know if that's what these people are. Don't know if they're mermaids or whatever.
I think they're related to the thing from Shape of Water.
Okay, yeah, all right.
I think they're the spawn.
The spawn of like Amazonian swamp people, river people, or whatever.
Sure.
I don't know. But it does look pretty cool. It's animated very pretty.
Yeah, I think it also looks delightful. It definitely made me miss being in Italy. But no, I think it looks lovely. I think it looks fun. Like it kind of just seems like the perfect like summer movie. I do want to just put in a quick PSA that, you know, whenever theaters are starting to open up, and that's really great. But Colton's at this point already, and I am not. But just something people should keep in mind is that your vaccine is not fully, you know, protective of you until 2 weeks past your second dose. So once we're at 2 weeks past my second dose, I will feel more open to doing this. But because there may be people there who are not vaccinated and are still at risk, including service members who are there to make money to keep a roof over their heads, we will be continuing to double mask to protect others. So, but no, I think this movie looks great. I'm really excited for it. I think it looks really fun. It's funny. I feel like it makes me a little nostalgic for like not only other media, but like I feel like when we were probably like elementary school, middle school age, I feel like there were a lot of movies that were coming out about like teenagers who were actually mermaids, like The 13th Year and Aquamarine and like all of those. And go Google when The 13th Year came out, because that was like a Disney Channel movie that was very popular. I think that's what the name of it. 1999. Okay, so I was younger than I thought. But yeah, I just
is that the one that is that the one about the girl? I remember there was one about a girl.
No, I think that's Aquamarine. I think is what that's called. I don't know what year that was. I don't know. That had JoJo in it and Sarah Paxton and Emma Roberts. Is that right? That one's 2006. All right, these were way more spaced out than I thought. But anyway, I think this movie looks great, and I'm very excited for it. It just is aesthetically pleasing and looks really cute. So I'm psyched.
I watched an A24 movie about mermaids. And it was pretty fucked up.
What was that?
I think it was called Mermaids.
Oh, I think you talked about it a long time ago on this very podcast, in fact.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
No idea when, no idea what episode, of course. Not very helpful on that front, but that does sound vaguely familiar for some reason. So, was it good? Was it good? Mermaids or Mermaid, whatever it was called?
It was strange.
It was something? It was a strange one? Okay. Well, Luca might be a little strange, but I think it'll be a little traditional as well. You know, it's still going to be kid-friendly, I would imagine, coming from Disney and Pixar. June 2021 is when this one is expected to arrive in theaters. So Anna and I will be fully vaccinated, 2 week past our second dose. Well, I'm already past that myself, fortunately, but we'll both be there, and so hopefully this is something we can check out in theaters.
It's called The Lure.
The Lure? Oh, yes. Okay. Well, still sounds familiar. I feel like you did talk about it once upon a time. So, yeah, Luca looks great. I mean, the colors, the just everything about it looks gorgeous. And then, of course, a minute in, you get the hook of, oh, they're Shape of Water people or whatever, and it feels like the kind of classic Pixar twist of you can't just do something that's just a thing. You have to do a thing, and then there's a twist on the thing. So, yeah, I think it looks good. I think it looks very well animated, and I'm excited about it. So we're looking forward to Luca.
Sounds good.
And last but not least for our news, I don't know. We talked about Anna saying it might be least. I don't know if people can hear that. She's a little far from the microphone, but Game of Thrones is up there certainly still. We got technically the third official trailer, although I think the first official trailer that Andrew and I have paid witness to for another Netflix original anime coming up called Godzilla Singular Point. And this is definitely some Japanese shit right here. There's no doubt about that in terms of who created it, arguably, I guess, who it's for, but clearly the style and content that it's going for. But sometimes that's okay. We like some Japanese animated content from time to time. Sometimes we talk about Studio Ghibli. Sometimes we like to tee up episodes that we say we're going to record for over a year now, and then we just don't do it. But we'll do it eventually. Don't worry about it. Andrew, what did you think about Godzilla Singular Point? Was it when the intro song kicked in halfway through the trailer that it really got you going? Where are you at with this?
I don't know what to think about this one. I don't know.
Yeah, I was, they had the Godzilla theme, and then Godzilla comes in. I'm like, oh, this is pretty fucking badass. I'm in for this. And then it shifts, and I'm actually at a still with like some sort of cat looking thing. Is that a dog? Is that a cat? I honestly have no idea.
It looks like they have like some
dog.
dinosaurs, and they bring in like some sort of like they got these weird looking robots, and I don't know. Will
we just stick with Godzilla versus Kong for our Godzilla goodness this year? Is that what we're leaning towards?
I think so. Like it. Like I said, man, I don't know what to think about this one. It's out there. Like, don't get me wrong. I think I've enjoyed a little bit more animes than you. Like, I've watched Attack on Titan and the one with the schools, Hero Academia, and Dragon Ball Z. I like Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball and all that, but some of them I can't hop on board with, and I don't know if I can hop on board with this one.
Yeah, I think this trailer I only watched a little bit of, and just no, thank you. Don't want. No.
Yeah, it seems a little weird.
I'm good. No, thanks.
Somebody likes it, though, I'm sure. I'm sure somebody got excited about it.
This does feel like a very specifically targeted kind of product, which is to say I'm not sure that it's for any of the three of us. But I debated whether to even put this in there. I hadn't watched the trailer at the time that I threw it in there. I had heard people saying, like, oh, this looks cool, this looks badass. And like I said, through the first very bit of it with Godzilla, I was like, yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. And then it just turned into everything. Then I'm just like, I don't know if I need this, personally speaking. So I don't know. Yeah, probably not for me. Andrew, you were saying something about Godzilla space shit, Netflix. What was up with that?
Yeah, so there's I was drunk one night and I went down a rabbit hole of Godzilla stuff because it sounded cool at the moment. And I quickly realized I jumped off into the deep end. But Godzilla has a Netflix series. I'm Googling it right now as we talk. And I think it's Godzilla Planet of Monsters.
Okay.
I think is what it's called.
I think I remember hearing about it, but
and it's kind of like it's like a 3D animation versus like a hand-drawn animation. It's people in space, and there's different like aliens and stuff, and it's just it didn't land with me. Maybe it's because I was, inebriated when I tried to watch it. I did not understand fucking anything. Yeah, I can't recommend that I just can't recommend it. Like I said, maybe I would love to have someone come on the podcast or someone in the listener's corner tell me, hey, listen, you were just inebriated. This is what it's about, and it's really fucking cool. And I would love to be proved wrong, and then maybe I'd revisit it and kind of, if you could sell me on it. But I wasn't sold when I watched it. So
I think the only appropriate thing to do is we'll just do a series of Godzilla focused bonus episodes. We'll do the Showa era. We'll do the Heisei era. We'll do all the eras of films. We'll do the American films. We'll do all the animated shows. I'm gonna promise a bunch of bonus episodes that we'll definitely do on animated
Godzilla
content.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. Maybe I don't know. Probably not. That was mostly a joke, but anyway. Sounds like Godzilla Singular Point is not for us, but maybe it's for you being the listener. April 1st, 2021 is when it is apparently coming to Netflix, unless you're in Japan, in which case it's coming March 25th. Lucky you. So yeah, there you have it. That's the news, the animated-centric news, and that brings us to our main content for this episode, Raya and the Last Dragon. Which, as many of you are maybe aware, is in theaters right now, but it is also available through Disney Plus with their Premier Access model, which they debuted last year with the release of Mulan, the live-action Mulan. So it's $30. It's $30 that it'll set you back to get the Premier Access to it, and you can watch it in 4K, Dolby Vision, HDR, whatever you want to do with it. 1080p, 480p, I guess, really, if you we're okay with doing that to yourself. So that's obviously how we watched it. We'll talk about, whether that's a viable kind of model for something like this specifically, but it's a conversation to come. Raya and the Last Dragon is written by Ki Gwen. I think I pronounced that correctly based on his website. And Adele Lim, directed by Don Hall and Carlos Lopez Estrada. Stars, the cast I think we teed up earlier. Very, very talented, stacked cast, I think were the words maybe that Anna used. Kelly Marie Tran, Awkwafina, Andrew's favorite. Isaac Wang, Jimmy Chan, Daniel Day Kim, Benedict Wong, Sandra Oh, Talia Tran, Lucille Sung, and Alan Tudyk, and of course Patty Harrison, as we mentioned earlier. I don't think she's in the top billed cast or whatever, but we brought her up before, so we might as well bring her up now. And it is about a lone warrior named Raya who sets out to track down the last dragon, Cecil, to protect the realm of Kumandra from total ruin. So, Raya and the Last Dragon. Who wants to start here?
I liked it. I think I had... It's funny because I had high expectations, but I also feel like they were mostly met. I love Kelly Marie Tran for so many reasons. But I was really excited for her to have this opportunity, and obviously, like, the rest of the voice cast is just incredible. Awkwafina, Gemma Chan, Daniel Day Kim. Like, I think I was, all of that made me really excited, and I feel like they had done a pretty good job marketing this movie. So like, I knew about Tuk Tuk before I saw it and thought he was really cute. But yeah, I think it's just a very... I think there are certain vibes of it that did remind me of how not the vibe of it, but how I felt about Frozen 2 and just how beautifully it's done and just the technology and just, I think it's aesthetically pleasing. Like, it's really nice to look at because of the technology and the creativity and the artistry. And so I think, I loved the story and I really loved the characters, even the ones I thought I wouldn't. But I think the thing that is sticking with me is certain, like, visual aspects of, each of the 5 clans and of, certain moments.
What about her fucking hat?
Okay,
what about her fucking hat and the dust?
This is what I was actually going to get to. The one fault I had with the whole movie. It's really the only fault I have at all.
Don't you say her fucking hat.
With it. No, I like the hat. I like the hat and the red cloak. I think those are really good. I think they're, in a way, turning on its head certain stereotypes. I think they're awesome. Like, the not only is it good for disguising, but I think it also gives us the opportunity to see Sisu in it, which is really funny. I think my one kind of fault is that I thought the design when she was a kid of both of her costumes that she wears are really great. And I thought they made, like, a strong point of, that when she's in the kind of formal wear, like, she doesn't like it and she hates wearing it. And I thought, well, that's okay. We'll see her in the other one the whole movie, which is, like, that blue, like, really cool, outfit she wears in the opening scene when she was a kid and she's, trying to get to the center and gets her one toe on it and all that stuff. Like, I thought that was a really beautiful design. And I think so much of the design for each of the clans and each of the characters, there's clearly so much thought put into what each person is wearing. And it's also very, like, cool outfits and, like, cool design. And, like, I found Raya's, older costume just kind of underwhelming.
Well, it tells a story. It's a poetic visual story.
And it doesn't, because I think you can, I think filmmakers and artists in general kind of have this feeling that like, oh, we have to show that time has passed. We have to show that things are bad. Everything has to be brown. And it really doesn't. You can have, a blue that's been worn down. You can have that. And I think color does a lot. And I think in this, like Namari, that like the white is really, symbolic. And I think with Sisu, like her color, like the color of the water and like magic, and it's important. And so I think that was like the one thing that kind of, everything else was so visually cool, especially in those opening scenes. And then when she takes the cloak off, I was just kind of like, it's fine. It's fine. But I thought everything else, like visually, was awesome. I thought the settings were so, cool. I thought the rune design was really... Rune? No, that's not... What are they called? Drunes. Drunes, that's what they're called. How is it spelled? That's a...
D-R-U-U-N, right?
Okay. That helps. The drone design was really cool. I thought the dragon design was awesome. I thought the design of, when they become statues was really cool. I loved the costume design, the weapon design. The weapons were really cool.
That fucking whip sword. Oh my gosh.
Oh, we found it. There's a toy of it in Target, and we were like, oh, does it expand like the one, in the movie? And like,
does it really?
It doesn't.
Oh.
It doesn't, which like fair probably hurt children. But that sword is so fucking cool. I think the two like batons are really cool too. I think the design of everything is really cool and pleasing to the eye, and I think it really does add to the story, which is also quite good. So I liked it. I thought it was good.
So what I will tell you about Raya and the Last Dragon, how I felt about it. I cried quite a bit, actually. I thought the whole movie was so incredibly touching and well done, and the visual poetry, I think, in which they composed everything in was spectacular. The way they designed the world to be different elements of the dragon, to where she comes from heart, and how her father preached on reaching out and mm-hmm. trying to, rather than guard your heart, let it be open. The fact that there was a bridge that was
literal
needed
bridge.
To come over. Yeah. Yep. A bridge to come into the heart, and like Raya's, I think, so I see what you're saying about like everything's dystopian, everything's brown in the future. And worn down and everything else. But at the same time, there were a lot of, like Raya's costumes, she has like a crimson cloak, and mm-hmm. you can't see her face. And she's very much the representation of what she was feeling the entire time that she was combating everything. Like, she was guarded off. She was not exposed. And, I thought it was really, really touching every time that she acquired a person from a different portion of the world.
I loved that. I loved that.
I thought that was really, really touching. That was really good. I think I cried every time she acquired somebody new. I thought it was awesome.
Especially because none of them seemed like likable people at first.
They weren't.
They all seemed really fucking annoying, and none of them were in the end. Like, it was awesome. Like, it was a really great team, and like you're rooting for everyone, and like it became a little, a family.
The score was fabulous. The animation style, the animation technology.
So good.
So when I was talking about the hat, she was riding through the desert, and just the shadows and just the lighting on the material. There was a huge emphasis on lighting on material in this movie, and it was spectacular.
I think one of the big things I noticed was movement of hair and texture. Mm-hmm. And I think that was something. So I had watched this, like, we never did watch Making of Frozen 2, and I bet it's in there, but I had watched this video on Frozen 2 and how they changed the technology between 1 and 2. and the difference in how they animate the hair. And I feel like I was like super hyper aware of it in this, like her hair.
Oh yeah.
You know, especially because it's constantly falling in her face, which does annoy me a little bit. Like, just add a braid so that there's more pushback. Anyway, Namari, same thing, just with the undercut and like the way the braid looked. And then also just like even with Sisu, with both her literal, like her hair when she's, you know,
And then
a human, and also
yeah.
and then the fur when she's a dragon. Like, it just, I feel like I was more cognizant of like that movement and how it was animated, and just really impressed with it.
But yeah, I mean, we'll get into it in the spoilers, but the nuances in the story and the amount of effort that went into, just, there's so many levels of storytelling in this movie. I really think that it's an incredibly intricate story that's told at it's a movie that you can get multiple things from revisits, but I think that it's simple enough that you can probably get. I got a lot from one viewing, as far as layers, and I think that it's I don't know. I think it's an incredibly well made movie. It doesn't require the rewatches, but I think that if you didn't get the multiple layers that are present, so like I didn't get. What I did not get, admittedly, was the representation of different Asian cultures. I didn't pick up on that. I mean, like, obviously they're different. There's different regions within the story, right? Obviously, that's an easy thing to get. But as far as like saying, hey, this is a representation of this culture, that culture, I did that went 10 miles over my head. But the intricate layers of the story that involve Raya and who she is and the story and how she's growing as a person, I think that it was absolutely incredible. I think that it was well timed. I think that it is. I think it's a beautiful story. Now the action is incredibly kick-ass. I think it's very fucking awesome. It's very cool. It's very kick-ass. It's kick-ass to have a badass female protagonist. I think that the weapons are super cool. I think that it I don't know, man. It kind of felt like it just felt like a really cool kind of kung fu story, you know? Even though that's not what it is. The action was there though. It was present. And I had high expectations going in. And it delivered and more. Like I said, I cried a whole lot in this movie. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Sarah thoroughly enjoyed it as well. That also adds to it when, you know, you look over and she's crying.
You like to have fun with your partner as you're watching it.
Yeah.
It usually aids your enjoyment of something, yeah.
Absolutely. But I mean, I was sitting over there crying on the corner of the couch. Yeah, I was just over there sobbing. And not because it's sad or it's this, or I mean, it is sad. It is sad, but at the same time, it's super heartwarming. Every step of the movie. And
it's very touching.
Yeah. And I thought it was incredible. I mean, we'll talk about it more in spoilers, I guess, and like the intricate details of the story that I want to get into. But yeah.
Before we let Colton talk, or we could just skip him completely. That's fine too. He's fine. I did want to note one thing I liked about this that kind of turned on its head some kind of classic Disney, in particular, like animated story stuff, is that you had two different, you know, I think there were quite a few situations of like, you know, all these orphans being made because of the drone and, you know, people not having their family. But I think at the core, you had two different people, Raya and Amari, who were raised by single parents. And there was like no mention of another parent. And I thought that was really great because I think so often there's kind of this trope of like, oh, raised by the father because the mother's dead. I mean, Disney has a horrible habit of like killing everyone's mother. And then their father too. Like it just, you know, whatever. And here it was like, they weren't who they were because of a dead parent. Like, not to say that doesn't have an impact on people, but it was kind of nice that it was just like, this is the norm. They have a single parent. They have one parent. That's it. And, you know, their whole, you know, origin story isn't about the death of a parent. So I appreciated that, as particularly someone who's been looking into non-traditional families and fighting for single parents to get legal recognition.
This is the part where I chime in.
You are permitted to speak.
Oh, well, thank you, good sir. Thank you, good sir. I loved Raya and the Last Dragon. You know, I'm just going to be a love fest following on from our last episode on WandaVision. I just thoroughly enjoyed this film, much as I enjoyed that show. Yeah, it just really worked for me. It kind of popped in all the right ways. You know, I think, you know, there's a lot of things that I could say that would probably be, for the most part, echoing, I think, a lot of what has already been said. But I will say, kind of in terms of what came to mind for me, you know, walking away from Raya the first time, I guess maybe the first thing that I should mention is, I think I said to Anna at one point, I was like, I wouldn't mind watching it again before we sit down and record on it. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We've only seen it just the one time. There was, it was a mostly good viewing experience. We intended to watch it on a Saturday night, you know, with the darkness surrounding us. Once upon a time, very recently, Andrew, Anna, Sarah, and I had a conversation, and Enrique, about the virtue of curtains and blocking out light and natural light. You know, that icky phrase I think that Andrew's not a fan of. So we ended up not watching it when there was an absence of natural light, when it was kind of the pitch black that we can enjoy and really kind of revel in the visuals and the audio of it. So we ended up watching it the following day during the daytime. So we had some blinds to help kind of buffer the light, which was fine. Unfortunately, we also had a band playing less than a block away, quote unquote band, a few drummers and a tuba going to town. And for the most part, the movie was loud enough such that we couldn't, hear them. It was fine. We heard the movie. There's a couple emotional points in the movie when it gets a little silent, when the score kind of, pulls back. And it kind of wants you to invest in the emotionality of the movie without the benefit of anything else kind of urging you in that direction. And when you just hear burr, 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 kind of in the background, it ruins the moment a little bit. So that's kind of why I wanted to watch it again to some extent, was like, I want a pristine viewing experience. It's one of those things, like, you don't have to think about those things when you watch them in a fucking theater. Theoretically, of course, sometimes you have little shits running around you and doing this or that, and
reference Lego story or Lego movie or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar. Once upon a time when we were going to theaters and such. But all that put to the side, the fact that the emotionality of one particular moment was kind of just like, this is kind of undercutting it a lot. Yeah, this movie just did so much for me. I just really, really enjoyed it from start to finish. And I think the voice cast particularly, brought to life really, really interesting and really compelling characters. And I think, some get more play than others. I think Raya, obviously being the titular character, gets a lot here. And I think Kelly Marie Tran is great. She is owed so much, after the shit show that the aftermath of The Last Jedi and the making and development and the release of The Rise of Skywalker turned out to be, where, she was good in The Last Jedi, and she got this undeserved hate for her character. And she got sidelined, within that own franchise that basically, brought her into the limelight. It was really shitty. Is what it was. And for Disney to kind of reach out to her, because in fact she was not the original voice actor set to play Raya. The role was actually recast, and they brought her in to do this. To me, it's somewhat of an apology, I have to imagine, of just being like, sorry that you were treated so shittily because of fucking, assholes in this world. She was amazing. She was wonderful. She brought a lot of life to this character, and made her very, very easy to root for and very easy to follow in this. And of course, she's surrounded by tons of talent around her. Jimmy Chan, is great. Obviously, Disney's a fan of her. This is at least their third time collaborating with her. They're doing the Marvel thing with her a couple times between Captain Marvel and Eternals. She was great as Namari, kind of the foil character to Raya. And then there's Awkwafina. You know, your girl Andrew, Awkwafina.
Fucking Fina.
She was brilliant in this. She really, really. I mean, obviously, Sisu is kind of intended to be this comedic character, you know, kind of goofy, you know, dragon who is, you know, everyone looks at the dragon as the last hope for this society, for this realm, and this dragon is just kind of just a, I don't know, you know, I did the thing, but it's not because I'm all great or whatever. It's just because it just kind of fell to me. I thought she just really embodied that so well, and the way that the dragon is depicted is just so fun, so interesting, very colorful, both in terms of design and personality, I guess you could say. She was just really, really great. I think, I mean, I just have to take a step back, honestly. What a development I think Awkwafina has turned into. I think particularly for this podcast, from probably watching the trailer for Ocean's 8 and thinking, oh my God, someone is going by the name Awkwafina and she's serious about it or whatever. You know, I think it started as a joke, but I think that she's really come into her own to the point where, you know, I think certainly speaking for me, you know, fuck yeah, Awkwafina, man. Like she was great in here. She's been very good in pretty much everything I've seen her in. I still haven't seen The Farewell, which I understand she's very good in, but I haven't kind of I just haven't watched it yet. It's another fault of mine, along with The Goonies, to follow up on that earlier. Yeah, everyone was just really great, top to bottom. Everyone was good. Even Alan Tudyk throwing in his tuck noises was very fun. The voice cast just brought this movie to life. But what they were bringing to life was the animation. And interestingly enough, this is a film that blends animation styles. You know, there's a couple sequences where it has more of a 2D styled animation, which was very cool. You know, kind of an interesting change of pace from what you get from most of the movie. But you can clearly see that Disney animation, following up on the Frozen 2 comments, which is a beautiful film in its own right. You can see that clearly their technology, you know, every movie they make, they find something to fine-tune, something to enhance. And so you're coming off the back of something like Frozen 2, which is just a beautifully animated film. It's a beautifully animated film. It's a beautiful film in general. This is the same. It's a beautiful film. It's also a beautifully animated film. And this is a very colorful film. Had conversations about, you know, Raya's, you know, underneath the cloak and the hat, it's very brown garb and it's drab, and the world kind of has this dystopian feel. But when you're allowed to experience, I think, the various cultures, the various parts of the world, there's just so much life to all of it. And so it's just a film that, for the hour and a half to 2 hours that it runs, whatever it is, you know, you're just drawn to it, visually speaking. It's just very, very interesting to follow. It just like I said, it kind of hit all the right spots for me. I really, really enjoyed it. It covers a lot of territory. You know, if we're going to talk about, I guess, things that, you know, I wouldn't even say that they held it back for me, but I was shocked by how fast-paced it was for at least the first hour, where it's really...
Yeah, it's breakneck.
You get a thing that happens, and then there's a time jump, and then there's a thing that happens, and then there's a thing that happens. Like, the things that happen within at least the first hour before I think kind of slows its pace a little bit really is just like... I'm like, is this a 10-episode TV show that's been collapsed into a movie in some ways? I just feel like there's a lot of stuff that could have been expanded upon, or could have been something. And it's not that I didn't think it really detracted from the movie, because I think once it kind of got to a certain point, it was content to slow itself down, and then kind of, you know, it really had a lot of setup to do, I guess, is kind of what it ultimately ended up being.
It got to the movie. It gets to the movie that it wants to be, and it gets there quick.
And it's very good all the while that's all happening. You know what I mean? It is still very good while it's doing all of that, but it is a lot of setup, and it is a lot of building to a very specific point, so that when the action kind of plays out from that specific point, you're good. You know, everything's good.
And out of necessity too. At the end of the day, it's an animated feature. You know, so
Right. And, this is a movie that could have been 20, 30 minutes longer if you expanded on those scenes, but then you're getting into the territory of like, well, it's an animated film that's obviously still intended to be kid-friendly. Obviously, it's releasing in a kind of weird setting where it's still sort of in theaters, although I think it did okay in theaters. We didn't really talk about that. It did fine. Theaters are still in a very, very weird and bad place, where you're looking at, and especially when you have the availability to watch it at home. And I think if you're a family watching it at home, $30 is not a terrible price point compared to the many dollars that it would take to bring a whole family to the theater. And, if you're not comfortable with that, as many people likely are, well, that's why the option is available for, there for you on Disney Plus with the Premier Access model. So, anyway, I think score was great. I'll echo that sentiment as well. Hopefully I haven't just hit on all the same beats. I tried to bring up a couple new things, but I'll also just basically co-sign pretty much everything that was said before me. And just end with saying that Raya and the Last Dragon just really, really met my expectations, and I think went beyond them. I was very, very happy with it. Highly recommend it. Which I suppose, I guess I'll flag. Does anyone have any other non-spoiler things we want to talk about? Should we go into recommendation? I think you guys got it out of your system, but I don't want to be presumptuous.
Recommendations. So I think we can have a kind of twofold thing here, twofold inquiry maybe. Obviously, we can do our very traditional thing of just kind of how does it fit on the 5-tiered scale that the geniuses at Watch Review Repeat crafted. Very the top of the line being very yes, followed by yes, middle ground totally fine, and then fine, and then shithouse. Where does it stack up in that? And then I think the second question we have to ask is it worth the $30 Premier Access price point? And obviously we have one comparison point to make of Mulan. I think we can safely say it's better than Mulan right now.
Yeah. But it still begs the question of where does it sit? Is it worth the investment in terms of the cost? Given that, again, as I just said, theaters, people maybe shouldn't be going to theaters right now. It's still kind of an uncomfortable environment to navigate around. So between those two questions, where does everyone stand?
I say very yes. I think it's great. Like I said, literally, like the only fault I found with it was a small, like costuming thing, and that's more like my own aesthetic. Like I thought it was great. I thought it was absolutely worth the money. I think, I think it's the kind of thing where if it was one person, like if it was like, oh, I can watch this myself for $30, I'm gonna wait. Because it's coming in June, right? It's going to be on. But I think even just splitting that in half, 15, it was like an easy decision. And I think the fact that we're definitely going to watch it at least one more time before June, it makes it even more worth the money. So I say very yes, and I say worth the money, especially if you have at least one other person who's going to watch it.
Bingo. And I think that's where you hit the price metric for the premium Disney shit. Are you watching it by yourself? Or will you watch it for someone else or with someone else, or will someone else watch it after you've purchased it? I think that's where it gets into the price metric. I think it is a very yes movie. It's definitely a very yes. If I was at home completely by myself and am I going to spend $30 to watch this? I would have spent $30 to watch it. I mean, but $30 is a lot to watch a movie one time. You know what I mean? And you have the option to watch it again, but will you? Will you before it hits Disney Plus wide access? I don't know. I don't know if people do that, So the value proposition is difficult because $30 is pretty steep. $30 is what you can buy a movie for. You know what I mean? You go out and buy a Blu-ray for $30, a Disney Blu-ray anyways. I would have spent $30 and I would have been very happy with my purchase. You will feel even happier with your purchase if you can enjoy it with others. I did not spend $30 to purchase it because Colton shared it with me. And I think between my enjoyment, Colton's enjoyment, Anna's enjoyment, I think Colton's value for his dollar was incredible. I think it was an incredible use of $30. But it is a very yes movie at the end of the day for me. I can highly recommend it. I think it's a movie worth watching. I think there's something there for everyone, with or without children. I think it's a thoroughly enjoyable animated feature with a lot of heart. That's my 2 cents.
I will once again be unoriginal. It's a very yes film. I loved it. Highly recommend it. Purely from the standpoint of the quality of the film. In terms of the $30, the $30 kind of price point that it's asking. Again, as a baseline, it is way worth it more than Mulan was.
Yeah, compared to Mulan,
which,
yes.
To be fair, that one was kind of, Andrew ended up paying, I think, the $30 for that, and I think we'd kind of balance it out some other way. But, the film quality to me does justify that price point. It's easy, when you're splitting it at least two ways. $15 a pop is pretty comparable to what you're going to get in the theater, especially if you're going to try to watch it in Dolby or IMAX or anything of the sort. The Big D, perhaps, if those still exist. I'm not sure. But I think beyond that, for me, obviously hindsight's 2020. But if I had spent the $30 on myself and I watched it and liked it as much as I had, I would have said, it is worth it. And I think, especially in comparison to a lot of the other models that are out there right now with the VOD releases, particularly where you get a 48-hour rental for $20. To me, this is, you have permanent access to this on Disney Plus. And yes, within a few months it's going to be added to Disney Plus for everyone else to enjoy, but that's a 3-month window, roughly speaking, I think, where you can watch it as many times as you want. Watch it to your heart's content. Will I watch this 1,500 times? No, of course not. But I absolutely think I will watch this again, at least twice. And, if I'm paying $15, personally speaking, for each viewing of that, again, that's still in line with what I would expect to pay, casting A-list aside or whatever. But, that's the chance you take, obviously, is when you don't know what you're getting into, you have to take the risk up front of, do I spend $30 on this and find out if I like it so much that $30 is justified or not?
Well, you let us do it for you.
Well, here the reviews were very positive walking in, so I was excited about it and felt reassured about, kind of the idea behind it, whereas Mulan was we were a little bit more ambivalent about that sort of thing just because the reviews were middling. And it was fine. It was fine, splitting it. But that one was one that $30 alone probably would have felt bad. Would have felt bad about it. Here, it just really, really worked. It. I was happy to pay the money to see it safely, to see it at home. I'm glad that they at least offered the opportunity. It's a movie that I think with the reviews, especially if they had offered it in theaters only, it would have been a struggle, because it's like, these bastards are tempting me to do something that I am not comfortable doing right now, and it sucks, and we've been fortunate enough to avoid that for the most part. I think Tenet's really the last one, I think, for all intents and purposes, where it came out in a way that wasn't widely accessible. Anna and I obviously did the drive-in when that came out, but like for you, Andrew, you waited until that shit was out in December. You know what I mean? It's like, That sucks. It's a Christopher Nolan film that we had been looking forward to for so long. How much willpower did it take to keep your ass at home and not buy into it and just walk into a theater and say, fuck it, I'm taking the chance. I'm taking the chance today. I'm glad that they have this as an avenue. We'll see what they do with future films, Black Widow, moving forward and such. We hope that theaters become a bit safer environment to walk into as the months kind of proceed, as the vaccine rollout increases. But for now, at this current moment in time, the Disney Plus Premier Access for me was totally worth it, and I highly, highly recommend Raya and the Last Dragon as a very yes film. And I highly recommend. Oh, Andrew wants to say something.
I'm getting. I'll be honest with you. I'm getting used to watching shit at my house.
Yeah, you got the setup for it. I mean, I know I've said it before, but depending on the theater you walk into, it's actually might be somewhat of a downgrade, if you're going to the Zephyr Hills Cinema or something like that.
I mean,
we watch it in IMAX. That's a bit of a
the
difference.
IMAX
still,
is
sure,
different.
but
I think IMAX movies are. I mean, it's been so long since I've been in a movie theater, so you know what I mean. I've gotten used to just watching new things on my TV.
Plopping on the couch and
sitting with my dog
it's
and
a little date night at home, and
yeah, it's totally cool. So I don't know. Even moving forward, I think it would be totally okay to have a split model like it. Go watch it in theaters or watch it at home.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how things shake out moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, let's get some full spoilers in here. So, full spoilers for Raya and the Last Dragon. Does anyone have any spoiler thoughts top of mind?
Yeah, so she visits each different section of the dragon. You got the Fang, which is known for, they betrayed her, and it's called the Fang, and I thought that what each portion of the dragon, or what each what am I trying to say? Each portion of the dragon, which is each region of the land, was represented well by the people that she picked up along the way. And I thought it was really interesting that I think that one of the most touching things is she regarded herself as blocked off, but little by little, every time she visited a different region, she opened up to someone else. And even though she felt like the legacy of her father was left behind in stone, it was in her. What her father wanted to accomplish was in her the whole time, and she was doing it unbeknownst to herself. She was opening up to each region and bringing everybody closer together. And I thought that was really touching. Every time she met somebody new, it made me tear up a little bit. And she just didn't know it. I thought that was the coolest part. Like she couldn't see it. She couldn't see that portion of herself, which was really cool. Like I started to talk about it in the non-spoilers. Her clothing and her garb, compared to what she wore and what her people wore, was very much closed off, and that's the way that she pictured herself. And then by the end of the movie, she's open to everything. Sure, she's open to other people, I should say. The sacrifice at the end of the movie, where she's like, I'll take the first step, which is, a reflection of what her father was fighting for the entire time. She followed in his footsteps. I thought she brought, honor to what he was about. And then everybody did follow suit. I also like what the Droon represented. They were just the embodiment of human discord, where the dragons represented, they brought fertility to the land, and they lived along humans. The Droon was everything bad about people, and I thought that was an interesting take.
Wait, before you go on, because I want to touch on that, just the idea of like water as life.
Yeah,
but I think also the idea that like, throughout the movie they're viewing this stone, this magic rock, as I thought you were going to do a reconnaissance thing again. They're viewing this magic stone as like this power, and like this is what they need against it. But it's not just the power of the dragons. Which, like, yeah, totally, the dragons have magic powers, and like that's helpful. But like the main thing that's going to combat the Droon it wasn't like the way I kind of viewed it wasn't even necessarily like the rock breaking is what brought the drone back. Instead, it was just like a peak of discord.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't even necessarily like, oh, let's put the rock back together that defeated the drone. I mean, it was, but the way the rock was brought back together was by, the opposite of discord, which was, felt
harmony.
Like unity.
Yeah.
So,
and I thought that the what was I gonna say? Oh no, I thought I had it there for a second. God damn it! Oh fuck! Oh, I had a good one. Okay, so the drone was the discord, and the
water was life.
Water was life. One thing I wanted to ask you guys is how did you interpret Sensu? Is that her name?
Sisu.
Sisu?
Sisu.
What was her power?
Okay, so this was a thing that we talked about a little because there seemed to be this thing like, oh, my brother's power, oh, my sister's power. But then at the end, all the dragons had all the powers. So I thought that was odd. And part of my thinking was that
that was what it was. Can you put your idea on pause? Will you be able to remember that?
Yes.
I will forget my idea.
Go ahead. Go.
Okay.
Quick.
So one of the most beautiful things is everything in a lot of the landscapes and everything were barren.
Right.
Barring the landscapes around the water.
Mm-hmm.
Until they went through like the dragon graveyard. And it was almost like hope inside that graveyard. Everything there were vines growing over the dragons.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's how the bridge was too. The bridge, if you notice, especially at the end, it was all overgrown.
Yes.
And it felt like even where it had just been in the past, there was still the opportunity for growth. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think, like Fang, they kind of found this life from the water, but they were kind of realizing like it's not enough. Like we need to expand. And I think part of that wasn't just like, oh, we need more room for people, but more of a like, we need all of like the parts of Kumandra, not just the water, and not just like our little isolated bit.
So yes, back to
the dragons. Yes. So it was interesting that they, focus on all these powers, but then they all seem to have all of the powers because they all could glow, they all could, fly by like bouncing off the water and all of that. And so I think, when they ask her straight up, like, what's your power? And she says like, I'm a really good swimmer. For me, I think,
was she a reflection of Raya?
I think part of it was, it's going to sound bad, they might not have even thought it through by giving all the dragons all the powers at the end. And I think they probably all had all of these powers, but I think probably Sisu is talking more about what their specialty was. Not necessarily power isolated to them, but like, what's your specialty? What's like the thing you're best at? And for her, she claimed like swimming. I'm really good at swimming. And I thought maybe that is how it kind of manifests, but maybe what it actually is she gets people where they need to be. And so she got them physically where they needed to be, but she also got them like spiritually where they needed to be. She made them realize that they, could trust people, and like she helped Raya get where she needed to be, which was not only trusting but also willing to make a sacrifice, and all of that. So I think that's kind of how I read that, as Sisu's power is kind of not the power of persuasion, but just the kind of, I think
heart.
Yeah, I think in some ways to like use the water, And,
so I thought Sensu's power. I agree with you that Sisu. I thought all the dragons had all the power.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with you with that. And I think I viewed her as a reflection of, they put all the spirituality and all the faith in the dragons, but at the end of the day, it was them that brought peace it was the people that brought peace to their land.
Right.
Right.
It wasn't really the stone, it was the lack of Discord.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think
Discord.
Yeah, Discord. We're on
Sorry.
Discord. Look at there.
We're on Discord. Sorry. I feel like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme
So I thought that much in the way that she thought everybody else's power was like her brother and her sisters and blah 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 blah. They had these different abilities and stuff. Yet when she gathered the stone, she discovered that she could do those things as well. She could harness the fog. She could run on the water. She could make it rain. She could do all these other things. I thought that was a reflection of Raya, and the fact that that you have the ability to do those things yourself. And I thought it's like self-discovery for the dragon and for Raya.
Yeah, kind of the things you think are someone else's realm. Like, she thought it was her dad's thing to bring people together.
Right.
She didn't think that was her job or what she'd be good at or what she could do, and turns out she could.
Yeah, and she did it. It was really touching. So that's what that was.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I like it.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's the big guy, the guy in the winter area, the backbone or the what's it called?
So spine.
Spine. Yeah.
So this was interesting because I kind of noted that he reminds me a lot of, he's like a combination of the villain in Mulan and also someone else. I feel like a guy from Tangled. Not one of the twins, but one of the guys. How well do you know Tangled?
Not very well.
Okay, lucky. I shouldn't say that. I do love Tangled. I love listen. Just have bad memories. Tangled, there's like the song I Have a Dream, and it's all the like ruffians in the bar talking about like, how he has a claw, but he's always yearned to be a concert pianist. But there's a guy in that, like, and a combination of him and like the villain from Mulan is the spine guy. And just remind me of him like so much, but he was great. And I feel like it was cool watching like him and like that little girl who I fucking hated at first. I hated that baby. I hated her. And by the end, I loved her and would die for her. But it was just very cute. Like same with the kid with the boat. Like I forget his name now, but I didn't like him at first. And I realized like, oh my God, I love all of them. And like, they were all very likable. And I feel like Namari, it was almost the opposite. Cause like, you really like her in the beginning. Like it's really cool. And I still feel like I didn't like that she went full fucking villain in the beginning. Like, I think I wanted her to do it for more noble reasons, but I think it worked out because I think all of her motivations at the end are super noble. I think they really could have easily made it about power and about opportunity, and they didn't. They made it about protecting her people. Her mom was not a villain. She was not a villain. Like,
they were just isolated. They're also isolated.
Well, and I think they, the discord was bad and all of that, but I think in the end, like that kind of ultimate decision she made was, if we don't get some credit basically for saving the world, we're going to be seen as villains and we are going to be hurt and our people are going to be hurt and we have to protect them. And so it was wrong. It was still wrong, but it was still like a more noble reasoning, which I think was good because it made everything more believable in the end. And like, oh my God, I ship Raya and Namari 100%. You cannot tell me that Namari is not a lesbian. You can't. I won't accept it.
Well, you know who else ships Raya and Namari is Kelly Marie Tran, who, I think, there's some pretty clear undertones, I guess we'll say, maybe overtones at some points, about the nature of their relationship. And this is Disney we're talking about. We don't want to get too crazy with Disney and and have an openly gay relationship. That would just be clearly absurd for some reason.
My God, two people loving each other. How inappropriate for children. Fucking bullshit. Give me more than some gay Cyclops as a side character.
Who is gay?
The Cyclops and Onward. The Cyclops cop.
Yeah,
She refers to her wife. It's like a tiny...
It's a very small one line type thing.
Oh,
that's just
yeah,
been, like,
totally over my head. That's okay, though. That's okay. What I think... Oh, you're going to go, Colton. It's your go. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
I just... I was going to say I really enjoyed Spine being like the heart... Like, I'm from Spine, and I am like hardcore, and I am the like fucking backbone, and blah, 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 blah. I'm up here by myself. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to watch you hang, but I'm really just fucking lonely. And I miss my kids and my family and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to gravitate to the little baby, and I'm going to read the little name tag on the baby. And I really enjoyed the dynamic of the guy from Spine. I thought it was pretty enjoyable.
Well, I mean, I have some thoughts, obviously. But before I guess I just rattle off things as I want to do. I'll co-sign, I think, what Anna said. I think I said as much after we watched it. A lot of the characters, as they're introduced, I'm just like, here we go. It's going to be an annoying little kid or annoying little baby or annoying, old guy or, whatever the case may be, or annoying dragon, whatever. And to me, even though some of them kind of came on strong at first, I really, really enjoyed their inclusion. Really before long, it wasn't even like by the end of the film I was like, yeah, I get it. It was like, honestly, within like 2 minutes, I'm just like, all right, this is fun. I'm digging it. I'm enjoying their presence here. And I think they make a good kind of team, basically with Raya, because I think I vibed with Raya. I really think from the beginning, I think the introduction with her was really, really great as a kid, and then the time jump, and we're with Raya all the way, and then I think just getting these other characters kind of folded in was just done exceptionally, exceptionally well. The question I want to ask is, does anyone have a favorite of the crew that kind of gets assembled throughout Raya in The Last Dragon? So I don't know if we should really include Sisu. I kind of feel like that's almost cheating. She's part of the crew, but she's not. I don't know. I guess it's she's the only she's the only dragon that I guess we really see with any sort of character in this film. But so including
I like the kid.
Raya. You like the kid? The shrimp
chef, the
Shrimporium kid.
Yeah,
fun.
that was maybe the second time I cried when he was putting it down. Like, he's always go 100 miles a second, right? And then they're going through the waterway at dark, and you can see all the fucking drones and stuff on the thing. And he talks about how they took his family, and everybody's reflecting about what it is, and blah 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 blah. And then you have Sisu putting the blossoms down in the water, and they all put the blossoms down in the water. It was really sad. It made me cry.
That scene was really, really powerful. It felt like it gave you kind of the appropriate pause in the story to reflect on the loss, that all of these characters had encountered to that point.
Yeah.
And it added a lot with Sisu particularly, and obviously with the kid, 2 minutes in, he's kind of annoying, like, I don't want to deal with this kid the whole movie. And then, he kind of lays out like he's just a fucking 10-year-old kid surviving on his own in a dystopian, post-apocalyptic kind of world. And, he's
never leaves the fucking boat.
Yeah, it's just it puts it all in perspective, and it's just really, really fascinating.
And bingo,
so,
keyword for the whole movie is the perspective. That's the perspective with Anna was talking about, the perspective with the villain, villain with air quotes. Yeah. I called it. I called it at the beginning of the movie. I told Sarah, I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna get a story about how she did these terrible things, but she did them for what she thought were all the right reasons, and that's what you got, she thought she was doing things for the right reasons, and she went about them the wrong way and everything else, but she finds redemption by the end of the story, and that's great. But it's the way that Pixar tells, or Disney tells these. It's like, as you grow older, people forget these things. These simple, like, truths about people. I know that sounds overly vague and like just like I'm halfway buzzed and kind of rambling, but there's
Are you?
yeah, but there's these simple truths about people and what's right and what's wrong and how people work and all these other things and like the just how you should look and treat other people, right? And it's like along the way we forget these things, and I think that's why I find all these fucking cartoons or animated movies so incredibly touching because they're told so beautifully, but at the same time they reveal truths that we should all really know, but they might be being revealed to children for the first time, you know? And it's just, I don't know, it's just impactful. It's really good. And I really thoroughly enjoy them.
Yeah. So Anna, who is your favorite of the crew? You know, to resolve that particular question, do you have a favorite? Is it too hard to pick?
The weird monkey things. No, I mean, I think the, you know, I think right off the bat, I really did honestly just like Raya. Like, I think Raya's like, you know, that conversation she has with Namari as they were kids, it just felt very relatable and very, you know, nerding out about something felt very relatable. And I think you know, it's interesting because it's like Andrew said, kind of as each one was added, I kind of loved them. You know, like I think the moment when Raya is like, okay, we're going to play hide and seek, and the monkeys and baby go hide, and like the little, what's the little kid's name again? I forgot again. Boone? Is that it? Where Boone's like, thank you, because he can make his shrimp and his food, and it's just so cute because he's so young. You know, he's clearly like a little kid, but he's like, oh, thank you, like get this baby away from me. I gotta make the food. And it just felt very like I liked that a lot. And I think with Tong, I think it was Tong. No, not Tong. Yes, Tong is the spine. Tong, yeah, sorry. Tong as a spine guy, like I didn't really feel much for him until he was like, you know, yeah, this is Noi. This is her name's Noi, like it's written on her shirt. Like, you fucking idiots didn't look at it. Like, what are you doing? And I liked him more then. And I think the baby I fucking hated. I hated Noi. I hated that baby. She freaked me out. She was weird. I didn't like her. I didn't like the monkeys.
But she's just evil, a little baby growing up with a bunch of fucking monkeys in the middle of like the most cutthroat town in the middle of the Dragonland or whatever.
And then I think once there was this like, you know, reveal of her being an orphan, and the whole fucking banana scene was hilarious. Them with the bananas, and the guards like, "Ooh, let's watch it." That was fucking funny.
But see, that's the thing. It's the thing about all the characters. All the characters given the right perspective.
Their first impressions are really bad.
Yeah.
Their first impressions are not good. They're annoying. They're bad. You know, whatever. And you learn to love them, and I really liked that because that felt more real,
based on perspective. Once you learn it all,
I don't know if it's perspective. I feel like it's just more time you spend, because I think, you know, limited time you spend with people, you don't always see the best of them. And I think that's kind of where, especially with Namari, it was like, you know, arguably this is her worst moment when she tries to steal the stone and when she betrays Raya. Like, that's her worst moment. And outside of that, like,
here's the thing:
she's a badass leader of her people.
Would she have shot the dragon if?
No, I don't believe she would have. I think it's so fucked up that she still pointed it, because, fun fact, that's still assault if you point a gun at someone.
That's not assault.
Crossbow.
That's threat.
No, it's assault, actually. It's assault. No, legally, that's assault. Battery.
I'm not going to get in a debate with two attorneys about assault.
No, joking. Battery is when you actually like hit the person, but the pointing a gun at someone is assault. You know, assault and battery.
I believe you.
Yeah. So you know, it's like she says, Raya's just as much at fault as she is. Because when Raya did it, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? And she's so ready to distrust Namari. And to be fair, Namari has just pulled some shit.
And the water's fucking drained from the earth.
Oh, yeah, that was creepy. But yeah, just, you know, a lot of conflict. And I think ultimately Namari...
And she marches her badass down the middle of, like, the Fang capital. And just...
Oh, it looks so fucking cool. Yeah, it looks so walking into the fire. Yeah, no, it was really awesome. And I love, too, when their priorities, like, getting the people out and they're rushing around. And just everyone, even the people who are annoying at first, are great. by the end. Like, I love everybody.
So Colton, what did you
that's
think?
great.
What are your spoilers?
So this is going to go in, no discernible order. I'll just bounce around kind of as the thoughts enter my brain. I mean, I guess just we talked about kind of just bouncing off the thing that was just mentioned, the saving everyone. I mean, the ending, I did not see Raya being the first one to kind of just let go and kind of put her faith in everyone else to kind of do the right thing and save the realm, really. So I thought that was a very well done, kind of shocking moment of seeing Raya turn to stone, I think, first, and it worked really well. And then seeing everyone kind of, put in the thing, following up on the conversation of, all these characters kind of being annoying at first and then kind of learning to love them and growing to love them. I felt that completely. The baby was hilarious to me. I think pretty much maybe from the get-go, but I think especially once kind of, Raya kind of, I guess, outsmarted her, kind of, made it out at the end. As they all kind of got folded in and integrated, they were all very fun, and to see them all kind of come together in this way was very interesting. One scattered thought for sure. I thought the design of the drone, I think the design itself and the way they moved very much reminded me of the aliens from Edge of Tomorrow. Just kind of that scattered kind of movement and the way that they kind of just, very fast.
See, they reminded me of the stockbroker from God damn it. What's that movie? Soul. The Soul people. The Soul monsters.
Oh, okay. Like when they were, like when they were lost in the void or whatever, and they were just these aimless monsters. Yeah.
They reminded me of the smoke monster from Lost.
Oh, never saw Lost.
Yeah, two people that unfortunately cannot comment on that. But what I will say beyond that is their purple color was very vibrant, very, very appreciated. I think the moment of everyone kind of coming together and then forming around the Dragon Gem as it was, I got some strong Guardians of the Galaxy vibes at the end when everyone kind of comes together and puts their might together. It very much felt like, where the Guardians of the Galaxy bitch kind of moment. And I really enjoyed that, really enjoying. I mean, every time I watch Guardians, the third act of that movie, when they all kind of come together, the lovable losers coming together, it feels like a really powerful moment. And this one kind of did that, and the sense of assembling all these people from the different lands throughout the realm, and then everyone coming together and putting their willpower together and, putting their differences aside for the betterment of the realm. I got those vibes, and it got kind of the same emotionality out of me, I think, overall. And I really appreciated that. And like I said, just even, with Raya kind of being the first one to kind of put it all on the line was just really like a, oh shit kind of moment for me. And I thought that was really, really great and how that was done. And Namari, kind of putting some differences aside there too. Complicated character, I think all of them are complicated characters. I think Namari is probably the one that's afforded the most depth because we see her, when she's younger and she has that moment of betrayal in the beginning, when she's a kid, and obviously she's susceptible to what her mother is, I think, influencing her to do, which, for what those people think is the best thing to do for their people at that point in time. I think that this movie doesn't necessarily cast any particular character as an outright villain. I think it lets you kind of see the good in people and the perspective. I think, Andrew, you've talked about a lot. The Druin are just kind of these faceless purple creatures that just feed on despair and discord and badness in the world. And so, yes, they are the real villains, obviously.
Which the real villain, if you're going to go that route, the real villain is ourselves.
Yeah, and they're feeding off of everything that the humans are bringing on themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I know we kind of hit on that earlier too. So, yeah. I don't know. I probably have a million other scattered thoughts that aren't coming to mind that I'll probably regret when I listen back to this episode and think, shit, I wish I had said that. But It's where I wish I would have seen it a second time, because I think there would be more immediacy with kind of how he thinks. Now I sympathize with you, Andrew, when you're starting to talk about movies that you've seen weeks and weeks ago, and you're like, "Fuck, I don't know," you know what I mean? So,
I'm glad we covered this instead of Minari. I'll say that, because Minari's a couple weeks back now.
Yeah, well, we'll get to it in a couple weeks' time or something like that. We'll get around to it eventually, and we'll have to piece it together as it is. But yeah, I just even if I can't specifically pinpoint the plot things, obviously here in spoilers, I hope that I've done an adequate job of kind of pinpointing the things about the movie that resonated so well with me, in terms of the animation, the voice cast, the story. I think the story really does, I think as a whole, come together in a really, really satisfying fashion. From moment one, you're really kind of dropped into it. You get a bit of backstory. You have the flashback sequence with young Raya, and then you have and it goes back into the present, and then everything proceeds from that point. But it all just, I don't know, like, again, from moment one, I was sucked in and I enjoyed it all the way through, I would say.
Also, it was fucking funny. Like, I feel like we laughed a lot, and I feel like it had, like, it was beautiful in so many ways and entertaining. But I think, like Andrew said, it had these kind of heartwarming moments and these touching moments. But then it also was funny and just very real. And
I cried way more than I laughed.
I would definitely. I didn't, but I would definitely.
Neither one of you guys cried?
We did not.
I had a tear welling in my eye when Raya reunited with her dad, I think, at the very end.
Yeah, that was good.
When she comes back to Heart, that to me, it was just, it was her father's vision of how everything could come together. And like, from the opening narration, like, shit's going to go sideways real quick here, and maybe you don't know how exactly it's going to play out, but it's fairly predictable to know that things are going to go off the rails quickly. And
she had that doubt whether or not her father would recognize her. And he instantly recognized her. And it was just like, oh.
To me, it just felt like a really touching reunion story. And I think it was, piggybacking off of, the hour plus of her going through this adventure and meeting people and bringing this land together, to the point where you get the second attempt at the people coming from the different lands. Like, everyone is so skeptical in the beginning, like, well, what the fuck do you want us here for? You want our shit? And you're like, we just want to share a meal, you know what I mean? And someone online, I think on Reddit, maybe pointed out, like, man, that food looked really fucking good. I wanted a bite of it. I was like, yeah, you know what? You're not wrong. I did want a bite of it myself. Just to kind of come full circle with that moment of them all reassembling at Heart. There was a lot of heart in this film, and I think that kind of really shone through in that particular moment. So, yeah, I think I don't know, other spoiler thoughts for anyone?
Nope, but I gotta go to bed soon.
All right, well, I think that means that it's time to go to the next thing. Andrew, we'll kick it to you. We know you're going on vacation very soon, a couple of days, in fact, from when we were recording here. Have you been up to anything since we last recorded, or anything you want to talk about? Want to talk about the vacation some more? We're not going to complain here.
So I went to RIO or REO. It's an outfitter store. I got a belt and a new wallet, which is pretty cool.
Hot damn.
And I got some badass boots. Some Solomon GTX Quest 4Ds, which are the ultimate and badass hiking boots. To go hiking.
Quality insight you can only get after a few Trulies.
Wait, where'd your hat go? Your hat was hiking themed that you were wearing.
So I found out my head felt like it was getting crimped on. So I got this hat at the Columbia store.
I like
it. It says
Do
take
you like
a hike.
Hiking?
I like hiking. Shit, yeah, I like hiking. Love hiking. I don't hike enough.
So, yeah. We should definitely get you to Vermont in the fall, because fall hiking in Vermont there's nothing like it.
I would definitely like taking a nice leisurely stroll with a backpack. I got a Camelback with a water.
Or skiing. Go when it's that kind of midpoint where you can hike and ski.
I've been skiing in Killington.
Nice. We'll go to Smugs.
I don't know about Smugs.
We'll go
but
to
I'll go
Smuggler's
anywhere
Notch.
you guys would like to go. If you guys would like to go skiing, I love skiing.
We have to teach Colton.
That's okay. We could teach him how to ski. Anyways, this hat is actually a small, and it started to hurt my head, so I took it off. So I probably won't be wearing Take a Hike. I'll probably give it to Sarah or Sarah's sister or somebody because it's a little too small for my fat ass head.
Let me see the back of it. Oh, so you really can't extend it. Bummer.
Yeah. So, anyways, so I got that hat. I got a couple of clothes. Got some hiking clothes. I was supposed to take my my suits and stuff to the dry cleaner so I could dress fancy on the gambling floor. I did not end up taking my suits to the dry cleaner, so I will have to get those dry cleaned in Vegas or just toss them in the dryer or something. But I'll figure it out. But I'm
just go like business cash. Like do you even have like a sport coat you could throw on over like more casual clothes?
No, I just have I just have suit jackets or no suit jacket.
Okay, so I would look at the content of your jackets because you would be shocked. There are so many suit jackets that actually you can put them in the wash on Cold Delicate.
I think I will be doing Cold Delicate on mine. There will be no starch in my jackets, unfortunately.
That's all right. They'll be fine.
But so we're going to Vegas. I'm going to do some gambling. Going to do some eating. Going to do some drinking. Going to do some hiking. Some hiking. Going to do one important thing over there. It's quiet, so I will make it quiet, but I intend on proposing on my vacation. You guys heard it here first. We'll see what she says when we come back.
And here we have confirmation that Sarah will not be listening to this podcast.
No, she
for
probably
quite some
won't.
time. To be fair, this episode will go up after I think probably your vacation ends, so there's really no concern unless she's a supporter on Patreon. But I don't think she is. But anyway.
So really just say, like, by the time this airs, congratulations, Andrew and Sarah.
Well, we don't know if it's congratulations or not until...
She's going to say yes. Don't you worry. We're very happy for you.
Well, thank you. So that's the thing that's happening. I've got... I downloaded Hades on the Switch, which I previously...
Nice!
Yeah, I plan on playing that for a while. I also intend on packing The Way of Kings, reading that in a day, my day by the pool.
You're going to read it one day. All right. I want to see it happen. I look forward to recording with you next because we'll talk about it.
We'll see how far I got.
We'll see. Let's see if you enjoyed the first day, if you enjoyed the prologue that's 6 pages long or not.
And so other than that, though, I fly out. I have one more day of work, and then we're gone. So we're gone for a week. I'm very much looking forward to it. Work's been a bear. And I think that's pretty much it. We've got American Idol. American Idol's great. The Voice is great. I like both those shows. The Bachelor. The Bachelor has, The Bachelor's The Bachelor. And I watched Nomadland. I watched Minari. I look forward to talking to you about those movies when we get around to it. And I think that might be it. I think that's all I got.
All right. Well, we know you got a bed to crawl into before long, but I have been saving a few things that Anna and I have been doing together specifically so that we could talk about them together for this episode. And we're going way back for some of these. But we'll start with Anastasia, which was the first time that I had seen it. The cartoon, the animated film.
Nice.
I really enjoyed it. First time watching it. Anna has a few things to say about it. It means a few things to her, I think, so it's only appropriate that I defer to her, I think, to talk about Anastasia specifically.
Anastasia is one of my favorite movies. I fucking love this movie. I have vivid memories of like a Christmas Eve getting the soundtrack to this movie. I feel like it's kind of one of those seasonal things I've talked about before on the podcast that I'm very seasonal about when I watch things, and Anastasia is one of those. It's very much a like January. I think we watched it right at the end of January, maybe early February, but definitely picture it as like a winter type watch, and it's just so good. And just every fucking time, I love the animation, I love the outfits, I love the music, I love the adventure, I love the characters. It's just a great fucking movie.
And there's not a lot of Russian representation in that sort of vein. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
what else can you point to?
Yeah, it's just it's great. And I think it's nice because I think it's one of those things that encourages people to look into history. You know, I feel like I kind of play up the Crown a lot. Like, it's not perfect. It's not, although it's looking more and more like reality television documentary anyway. But it gets you to look at other things. Like, Anastasia Stahl, it's bullshit. Like, that movie is not real. Like, that stuff didn't happen. But it gets you interested in the history. And the movie is such a great standalone story. And I just really love it. And I love watching it. And I have, I actually have a replica music box from it and a necklace. And I just love it and enjoy watching it every year. So I was glad that Colton could watch it this year and I could introduce it to him. So.
And it's in kind of a weird sort of place where it was a Fox film. You know, it wasn't a Disney film, but because of the acquisition, it's now on Disney Plus. So Anastasia is a pseudo Disney princess, I guess, at this point. But it's on Disney Plus if anyone wants to watch it. So highly recommend it. You know, obviously it doesn't mean as much to me as it does to her, but, you know, moving forward, I think it will. So there's that. Other things we've been up to, we watched the Netflix documentary series Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. We binged that in maybe a day or two. 2 days, I think. Yeah. It's one of those things, I feel like, you know, it was probably on the Netflix top 10 or whatever when it came out, maybe at number 1. And it's interesting. It's, you know, about this kind of dilapidated hotel in Los Angeles. Do you know anything about this, Andrew?
No.
Okay. I didn't know if I need to explain things, but
has he seen... Andrew, did you watch American Horror Story at all?
I think I've seen a season or 2 of it.
Okay. Well, that's wrong. You should keep watching it. It's great.
That's what I hear. Dan is a big fan of it.
Some of it. I can tell you which seasons to skip and which ones to watch. But there's a whole season called Hotel, and that's the first Lady Gaga season, in which she's excellent, but it's, you know, really focused on this Hotel Cortez. And I had read a little bit about the Cecil just from that, but didn't really know until this, like the full extent of what happened there. So it was very much I think we both thought, was it the 3rd episode or something? It was just, it didn't need to be this long, but it was interesting and I thought it was well done. I did think it brought us in until the creep.
It was interesting until it wasn't. You know, I think, you know, to provide some backstory for anyone that's not familiar, Andrew included. You know, basically, it was kind of a 2 stories in one. It was about the Cecil Hotel, which again is this hotel in Los Angeles that has kind of been a hotbed for crime, and I mean, I think it was just serial killers had been in there, and you know, and I think it kind of turned into low income housing. It's kind of in this area of downtown, basically, where there's a lot of homeless people. A lot of low-income people that live there, and you know, people kind of think of it as this really, really bad area of the city, and basically it's kind of this island of that, basically, where everything else in the city is fine, and they just kind of relegate everyone to fend for themselves there, and it's really shitty, and it's really awful. And so this hotel is just kind of the hotspot for that, and they at one point had converted some of the hotel into being more like modernized and friendly for tourists and stuff like that. So there's a tourist that ended up staying there named Elisa Lamb, who unfortunately went missing at one point and was, you know, deemed a missing persons case. And so it's kind of about the investigation into her disappearance and their vanishing, I guess, as they call it, obviously in the title, and unraveling the mystery of what happened to her. And it kind of dives into, like, you know, the internet become internet detectives trying to figure out what happened with her. There's this weird footage of her in an elevator at the hotel, and like, what does that mean? Are there ghosts involved? That sort of shit. And so it's about, I think it's 5 episodes long, and I think that the central mystery of it is it's interesting, and I think really particularly the history of the hotel and the surrounding area was really interesting. But you know, it turned into this whole thing about internet sleuths for an episode or 2 of just being like, we really know and love this girl, and we want to save her and protect her and find out what happened to her. And it became really creepy at a certain point, and it just felt like it was kind of glamorizing that sort of thing. It's like, you're a fucking weirdo. Like, stay in your lane, dude. Stay in your fucking lane. So I think I think, for what we did, the 2-day binge, I think it was fine. I think it was fun. It was interesting enough. It was one of those things.
It was different from what we normally do.
We don't really do true crime type stuff. I mean, I enjoy true crime stuff in my life, but I feel like we never really watch that sort of thing together. And so, yeah, so it was entertaining enough for what it was, but could have been shorter and it could have been better, I think is what it was. But it was fine. It was fine. Could do worse. But you could do a lot better, because you could watch Mamma Mia and Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again.
Yes.
And let me just say right now, I have to confess, I'm all in on the Mamma Mias at this point. I am a fan. I didn't think the first one was great. I enjoyed it while thinking it was fun, and like the music is great. Obviously, it's all ABBA music, and ABBA great stuff. The first movie is a little sloppy, a little messy, but still fun, kind of vibrant, colorful, chaotic, very chaotic film. The second one, interestingly enough, the first one is based off of a stage musical adapted for the film.
I just will say, as someone who has seen both the film and the stage show, it does work better as a stage show. It really does. It just works better as it, but still fine as movie.
I enjoyed it. It was fine. It didn't do anything. It didn't wow me in any sort of way. It was fine. It was fun. It was good music set to colorful things and people having fun. And like I kind of got the fun vibe from it, while not appreciating it as like a film itself. The second movie, they basically, brought in some new ABBA music, some of the music, coming back from the first one. But they crafted a film around basically the backstory that the first movie is about. So it ends up in a weird sort of situation where like the second movie is significantly better than the first, to the point where I loved it. I really, really legitimately enjoyed the second film. Surprisingly enough, I remember when the time it came out, it was, it's a movie called Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. And so every joke around the movie was like, oh God, really? Here we go again. You know what I mean? That was the joke about the movie. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It made things work in such a way that the first one did. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, fine. You've earned this one, to the point where you made a legitimately good film out of the second one. And the weird thing is, if it weren't for the first film kind of existing, you wouldn't be able to appreciate the second film, for what it is. So you heard it here first on Watch Review Repeat podcast. Mamma Mia is here. That's where it's at. Here We Go Again is specifically where it's at.
Yeah, I think the second one makes you appreciate the first one more in a way, but I think it also, you need the first one to make the second one, but the second one is just so much better. And I feel like I felt nervous kind of watching the first one, Colton, because I was like, I swear the second one's better. I swear it's better. Like it's so good, and it really is. And like I saw the first time I had experience with Mamma Mia, I saw it as a stage show, just like a national tour in 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. It was excellent. It was great, whatever. And then when the second movie was coming out, I was like, oh, I want to watch this because I love the stage show. And so at that point, I finally watched the movie because I hadn't watched the movie. And then when I saw the second one, I saw it in theaters with my friend Lauren, and I sobbed. I cried so hard. It was so fucking good. I did just as much this time, I think. There are certain things that just really get me going. Burn in Hamilton, the airport scene in Lady Bird, which I literally just last week mentioned the airport scene in Lady Bird and started crying. And Colton was like, you're not watching it right now. It's not on the screen. You're not watching it. I just, tears pouring down my face, just for whatever reason. Like there's certain things that just get at me. And I think, the end of Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, but it's just so good. You walk out of it feeling so good. Like it's so fun, and it's just powerful and emotional, and I fucking love Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. We watched it 3 weeks ago now, and we have been listening to the soundtrack and ABBA music constantly. It's so fucking good. It's just so good. I
cannot tell you the number of times that Take a Chance on Me has entered my brain. And I just drummed the beat, and Anna's like, are you doing Take on Chance on Me again? Is that what you're doing? And yeah, that's what I'm doing. So yeah, Mamma Mia's are great. Meryl Streep is wonderful. Amanda Seyfried, great.
So good.
And Lily James, she's only on Here We Go Again, and she's wonderful. She's excellent in those. And Pierce Brosnan is a terrible fucking singer, but goddamn, if he's still enjoyable despite his badness at singing. It's still fun.
I think especially after having seen Mank so recently, I think it was fun seeing Amanda Seyfried and stuff because she's so fucking good. Like she's been, I feel like in the beginning, like with Mean Girls and Dear John and Mamma Mia, like she was kind of casting these things where people didn't take her seriously, but she's so fucking good. And at this point, I would watch her in pretty much anything because she's excellent. And obviously Meryl is fucking fantastic. But yeah, it great cast, great, chemistry. I think not only between love interests, but also like the friendships that are such a huge part, and like the aunts, like the mother's best friends and how they, their relationship with the daughter. It's just it's so good, and it just I love it, and everyone should watch it because it's
good.
It's amazing. Let's get a third one.
I think there is legitimately some talk about a third one happening at some point.
Wait, you
so
didn't tell me that?
I was looking on the Wikipedia page once upon a time, within the past few weeks. So I don't think it's anything that's happening anytime soon. But yeah, I would be down for a third Mamma Mia.
And we have the digital copies if you want to watch them, Andrew.
Oh, okay.
Got them on Movies Anywhere. I'll give you my login.
Movies on everywhere.
So good.
All right.
Movies anyway. Yeah.
I'll have to look it up.
And I do think Sarah would like them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Do you guys like Moulin Rouge?
Uka buka sheu musufla. Susufla.
Well, funny enough, there is some crossover because of the voulez-vous, but
Voulez uka bula se soir.
No, voulez-vous couche. All right. Anyway,
Voulez
I think the first one has some serious Moulin Rouge vibes, just in sense of like a musical with just absolute fucking chaos.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Sarah would actually really like these two. So
I'll have to look into them.
I knew we were in trouble when she said Moulin Rouge. I was like, oh boy, here we go. Here we go. She walks right into it. All right, let's a couple other things that we've been doing, and that'll be it for us. Both on HBO Max, we barreled through West Wing season 5, the first post Aaron Sorkin season of the West Wing. It's bad. It's probably better than a decent amount of like network television shows, but coming off the back of the first 4 seasons, which were really, really tightly written and really, really well done.
Big drop off.
It just unnecessarily, look, it's a new creator coming in. He wants to do his own thing. He's got his own vision, but his vision fucking sucks. That's what I would say about it.
It just makes everyone a fucking asshole. I hated everyone. The whole season, everyone's annoying. Everyone hates each other. Everyone suddenly forgets all of the things they learned over the past 5 fucking years. And it in some ways, it struck me as someone who had someone was writing it who'd never seen West Wing. But luckily, so far, season 6, I think, is better.
It's a step
Thank
up.
God.
We're only about 3 to 4 episodes in, I think. Maybe 4. I think 4 episodes in. So we'll see where it goes. But beyond that, we are almost done with The Undoing, which is an HBO show that aired last year, was mentioned on the Listener's Corner on the Judas episode that we did, Judas and the Black Messiah episode that we did, kind of a whodunit mystery kind of show, 6 episodes. We don't know who done it. We have suspicions about who done it. Maybe I'll come back next episode and tell you about how I felt about who done it. But it's good, it's kept our interest. Certainly, we binged quite a few episodes over the past day and a half or so. So,
yeah, I was gonna say it's so bingeable. We had watched the first episode a couple weeks ago, and I was ready to keep watching. We're like, no, we got to go to bed, whatever. And then last night we watched 3 episodes, and then I think so far today we've watched a little over 1, and we'll finish the last one tonight because it's really good, and it great acting, great performances, really just fun. I think if you're someone who watched it feels it's the same creator, I think, as Big Little Lies, and it feels a lot like that, just in the sense of just very watchable and very you don't necessarily like the characters, but you like seeing what they do.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's what we've been up to. That's collectively what we've been up to for a while. Obviously, in addition to the whole law school thing, which we're ready to wrap up. Unfortunately, we'll be doing so in just a couple months' time. But yeah, that's it. So thanks for bearing with us. You know, we gotta get you to the bed. We gotta get you.
I
to
gotta
Vegas.
go to bed. I'm starting to nod off right here in my chest.
You know. Maybe it'll take a little snooze on the flight, but you know.
I'm not flying tomorrow, though. That's for a fact.
Stuff, so.
I got to go to work
Yeah,
tomorrow.
well, we hope you get to work tomorrow and survive the day so that you can enjoy the week and such. So we'll go ahead and say thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. If you want to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. You can get early access to all of our regular episodes. I guess by the time this comes out, it'll be a less useful message, but we recorded a lot in a short span of time before Andrew left. So if something like that were to happen again, that would be a really good use of the Patreon platform. Otherwise, we'll be doing some bonus episodes, probably not the Godzilla ones we talked about, but maybe Studio Ghibli and some other things, maybe the Goonies, something like that. We can do something like that, certainly. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. You can find links to our social media accounts, link to all of our episodes and stuff there. We are on Twitter at WRRPod. You can search on Facebook for our page and like us that way. Just we're Watch Review Repeat there. Questions, comments, suggestions, thoughts on Raya and the Last Dragon. Maybe you disagree with our $30 value assessment, or maybe you wholeheartedly agree, or you have some thoughts on some other things that you've been up to, The Undoing, Mamma Mia. Maybe you got some strong things on Mamma Mia. Maybe you feel like you've been really heard, by the fact that we have so happily embraced Mamma Mia. Come out and let us know. WatchReviewRepeat@gmail.com. Happy to take a look at any emails that come our way. Intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. A big thank you to Anna Mattis for joining us.
Thank you.
Us a fun fact about Raya and the Last Dragon, sharing her thoughts on some news, both good and bad news in her estimation, and her many thoughts on Raya and the Last Dragon, and catching up with us, telling us about the things that we've been up to together, sharing her insight on that. So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me. Sorry I have too many opinions and talk too much, but I enjoy it every time.
It's the whole point of a podcast. What's the point of a podcast if you can't talk about your opinions and shit?
It's a lot of fun every time. So
every time. Absolutely. We'll talk to you later.
And we will talk to our podcast listeners later. After Andrew does a certain thing in a certain place, maybe we'll have some things to talk about. I think we'll have some things to talk about.
Fingers crossed.
to inspire some confidence. We'll have some things to talk about. We'll be talking about movies. We'll be talking about news. We'll be talking about whatever comes along. And we'll be talking about some very momentous things happening in Andrew's personal life. So it's very exciting times that we live in. Look forward to that. Andrew, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful vacation. Have a good time for us. We're envious. We wish we could go on vacation. We'll do it eventually, but I hope you have a wonderful time, and I look forward to catching up with you on the other side of things. So our next episode will hopefully be the Minari Nomadland double feature that we teed up, and we ended up doing kind of after the fact with Raya, and then we got Zack Snyder's Justice League to look forward to. So good things on the horizon. Good things on the horizon. Andrew, why don't you take us out?
All right. Well, hope everybody enjoyed it. Anna, always a pleasure. Colton, we'll talk to you later. And until next time, take care now. Bye-bye then.
Laters on the Menge.
Fuck you, Hans Zimmer.